Hello, and welcome back to another episode of
The
Gidis Show. Thanks for doing it. No, I appreciate that. Yeah, thanks.
I promised him I'd do it at one point.
With us today is a real estate development manager and our beloved friend, Paul Shakir. How are you, sir?
I'm well, thank you.
Thank you
Thanks
for being here.
asking. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you kind of force your way into it, but we'll accept it. We'll accept it.
I wouldn't say I forced myself into it. I'd say we had a brief conversation. You were like, that sounds like
Do
a very
what the
good
brief
idea.
conversation was? He saw me in church. He went, "Oi, I'm coming on the show." That was the brief conversation. I went, "Oi, all right then, come on the show."
That's not what happened. I said, "Oi," I said, "Listen here, I've got something for you."
Yes, and what do you have for us?
So, the golden circle principle.
The golden circle principle. For the people that are unfamiliar with that, what is it?
So, the golden circle principle is a principle that was founded by Simon Sinek, who is an inspirational and motivational speaker.
Yeah,
He's big on optimism and positivity.
absolutely.
He's written quite a few books,
Mhm.
but one of his first was Start With Why, which was on the back of a TED talk that he'd done maybe
It was like
10 years ago, roughly,
Yeah.
something like that. So Simon wanted to get to the bottom of why some companies are so much more successful than others.
Yeah.
And he managed to come up with the golden circle principle. So it's based on 3 elements.
Yeah.
So why, how, and what. What is the product that you produce? So
What you're selling, what your
it's what you
services.
do, it's your USP or your service. How you do something is your systems or your processes behind it.
Sure.
So trackers, finance management systems, HR. It's how you operate.
Okay.
Why is the reason behind it.
And that is the.
So purpose.
Yeah.
And that's the big piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, that's the bit that everybody seems to be missing, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Because after I watched his TED talk, his examples are brilliant, and it's like when you listen to it, it's like, oh yeah, I'll let you do it, and then I'll come in later. But shoot.
So we all know what we do on a day-to-day basis, right?
Sure.
Yes.
In terms of job role and our responsibilities and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody knows.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, everybody thinks they know, at least anyway. Yeah.
You'd hope.
If you have staff, yeah, you hope that they know what they're
They
getting
know what
paid
they're
for.
doing. Yeah, exactly.
But
Like,
yeah.
like they say, you don't pay someone to do a job that you know how to do better than they do.
Sure.
Otherwise, it's a pointless hire, right?
Yeah.
So what we do really is very easy. It's systems and things that we've learned over a period of time that we can now just do efficiently.
Sure.
But finding the core reason why you do things is the complicated process, and it's a biological factor.
Okay.
So this is quite interesting.
What do you mean biological factor?
And wait, hold on. When you say the reason why is biological, do you mean you can't change it? It's something that's instilled into you, like biologically when you're born, it's passed down, or is it like something you develop but biologically?
No. So it's neither or. It's the way the human brain works. So what?
So when you say it's what did you say is biologically proven?
It's a biological system.
It's a biological what? System or hack?
System. So why, how, what
Yeah.
is directly linked to how the brain works.
Sure. So what I'm trying to ask is that something that I will already have? I'm born with it.
Yeah,
it's
you-
in my
yeah,
genes,
you-
or is it something that
No, you're
through
born
training?
with it. No, you're
Yeah.
born with it.
All of us, or some people?
No, we're all born with it.
Okay. I just
Right?
wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
That.
So
No, hold on, because then is everybody born with the exact same, or is some people born?
no.
with
Everyone's born with a different purpose.
Okay.
Otherwise, we'd all be doing the exact same
But
thing.
we have a
for
system.
The
The
same
same
reason.
system is
The same
Okay.
system works
Okay,
in
it's
the
different
same way
how
for
wise,
all
but
of
everyone
us.
has a
But
why-
my
how why.
purpose is different
Cool.
to your purpose, different to yours.
Exactly
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
Cool.
But the hardwiring is there. The
is the
programming
same.
for
The
why
way
is
it
there.
works
Sure.
is still the same.
Okay.
So what and how are linked to the neocortex,
All right.
right?
Yep.
It's an area of the brain that is learned behavior.
Sure.
So it's how you act.
This is what and how.
This
Yeah.
is what and how.
Okay.
So things like brushing your teeth, you do
Mm.
it in a specific way it's a physical way of doing things, which is linked to the neocortex part of the brain.
Okay.
The limbic system
Yeah.
is an emotional system,
It is.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's triggered by major events, or trauma is one big one,
Trauma's the biggest one.
right?
Yeah.
And that is what, when broken down, and you find the things that have made you feel the happiest or have made you feel the lowest at a point in time in life, they all tend to be connected in some way. And when you find the connection to those dots is when you find your purpose.
All right. So tell us, how do we connect the dots?
So there's a system that's called Find Your Why,
Find your why. Yeah.
which was written again by Simon Sinek,
Mm-hmm.
because he wanted all businesses and all entrepreneurs to be able to get to their core purpose.
Yeah.
Right?
Let me interrupt you quickly.
Go on.
This is obviously surrounded about business and entrepreneurship, but find your why. I think every single person watching this needs to find the
Should
why
do.
as to
Definitely.
why you're doing what you're
Definitely.
doing.
Why do you wake up in the morning? Or why we do the things that we do
Okay.
is our purpose.
All right. So with this, some people wake up because they have to wake up at 7 and go to their shitty office job at 9.
Yeah,
It's not their purpose, but they have
no,
to
but
do
they're
it.
living without purpose.
Okay.
That's the whole
Yeah.
point,
I was gonna say.
right?
Thank
So
you.
you're living an unmotivated life,
Sure.
so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, when you're connected to purpose, it's a feeling or an emotional connection that reflects in absolutely everything that you do,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Purpose isn't just being really successful at work or really successful in relationships, or like, we're all very religious individuals, so it's also not the reason why you serve.
Right, off the back of that, just a question. Do you believe we can have more than one purpose? Can I have a multi-purpose life? Because just like
Yes.
you said, we're religious people, right? Well, one of my purposes, obviously, is to live a righteous life, to get to heaven, to preach the word of God. That's part of my spiritual purpose. But I might have another worldly purpose,
Which is
do the things that I want to do the things that I feel like I'm good at doing. I might want to make a change. I might want to, even if say in my career, say the barbering career, I might have a purpose related to my career. I want to change and innovate the way the barbering world is. I want to create something new that change. I want to do what Steve Jobs done. He changed the world of technology, all of this stuff.
Can I,
there's something he just said, right?
Steve Jobs?
No, that Anthony just said, that kind of declarifies his question completely.
1 second before we
I want to do what Steve Jobs done.
Oh.
So that's not why, is it?
So that's not your purpose. That's Steve Jobs' purpose.
No, I'm giving an
No,
example.
that's not purpose at all, because
Okay.
that's the product.
Right.
So
No,
his
but-
product is he wants to change the barbering industry. That's not why.
Just
That's
create a
what?
haircutting machine.
Yeah, but that's what. That's the product. That's not why. That's not Anthony's purpose.
Okay.
So Apple's purpose
Yeah.
is to challenge the status quo,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Apple didn't plan on creating the iPhone, the Apple Watch, the iPod, the iPad, the Mac.
Yeah. I think Simon said it in his
Apple
talk.
started with, we're going to build a computer,
Yeah. It's a
and
computer
a really
company.
good one,
Yeah.
right? But their why was to challenge the status quo. So they done that consistently in every market. They done it with the phones. They done it with Apple Music. They done it with iPods. When the iPods were released, Walkman was selling a device that was much stronger,
Yeah.
and they sold it as, this is a 4 gigahertz machine that fits in your pocket and can save hundreds of
amount.
thousands of songs, or whatever it was at the time. Apple's selling of the iPod was 5,000 songs in your pocket. Done.
That's why. I guess that's why you have an iPod. Yeah.
And it outsold.
Mm.
It's
The Walkman.
crazy when we think about Apple, because Apple obviously is the second largest company in the world, but it's a computer company that made music. We all bought iPods from a computer company. Like when we were in school, iPods was the thing. And isn't it crazy how, look, they lasted 15 years? Now there's no iPod. Nobody has an iPod.
No one
Who
has
has
it.
an iPod?
No one has
They've
it. You know
just
what's mad?
You don't need
integrated
one.
it.
Little kids don't know what iPods are.
That,
100%.
You know, I was
That's
having a
mad.
conversation the other day about
So-
iPods. When they came out, everybody was mad about the iPod Nano, the iPod Touch, the
Mini.
iPod this, the iPod 160 gig. Now it's completely obsolete.
Mm.
Very short-lived, but Apple maximized what they
Maximize
could
the market.
from something that they saw was going to be.
So now go a little bit
Cyclical.
deeper than that, right? Think about the people that you know that have iPhones and the people that you know that have Android phones, and
Sure.
compare the personalities. Just do it in your head right now.
One of my
who
friends
have
who was a
Apple
Samsung
products believe in challenging the status quo. You might not think you do, but when you sit down and think about it, you do. You're part of the Apple cult because it's the premium cult.
Yeah.
It's the premium device. 9 out of 10 people that I know own an iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have an Android phone.
Yeah.
And this is what Steve Jobs managed to do very well. It was not create a product or create a group of products. He created a purpose that people are following.
So
right?
what was that purpose?
To challenge the status quo. Imagine waking up in the morning and not knowing why you've woken up, right? You've got no ambition, no purpose, no drive, right? You are literally waking up to go work your 9 to 5, to come home, to look after your family, if you've got a family. If not, it's to pay your bills.
Some people's why.
That's nobody's why.
No, it is
Yeah.
some people's why.
No.
Yeah.
Everybody's different, by the
I
way.
wake up to provide for my family. I go out to work to provide for my family. I might not like my job, but I do it to provide for my family.
Because the why is to provide for my family.
But are you
like,
doing it from a place of drive and ambition, or are you doing it from a place of
needs?
No.
fear and I have
Bills.
to do this or I'm going to be out on the street and my family's not going to eat?
No, I think
There,
a lot
there
of
are
people
two very
have
big
to.
differences. Exactly that.
Yeah.
And having to do something takes out the word life completely.
But then I think you're talking about passion rather than purpose.
No.
Because you can but that's the purpose. The purpose. Your purpose is to be the.
But
father
your
figure,
your
to be
purpose-
provider for your family. Whether or not you do that by something you're passionate about is different.
Some people might be doing a job that isn't their why. It's not their purpose. But they're doing that job in order to fulfill their purpose of, for example, looking after their family, raising their kids, or
To expand on that, I might not like my job very much, but the fact that I can wake up, do that job that I don't like, but then I can sit at home and look at all my family eating, and I know that that's because of the work I put in, that might
I'm good with that.
Do you know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
No, you know what? I don't even need to go far to give you an example.
Go on.
I was driving cabs for years. I hated it. The first year I loved it. Oh mate, I had my London cab, put my flat hat. Where you going, love? Arm out the window, come rain or shine. Proper cabbie. After the first year novelty, I hated the job. But I was doing it for another 6-7 years, not because I was loving the job or my purpose was to drive a cab, but it just afforded me to fulfill my purpose and have the flexibility and the time and you know, do all the things that I feel is a purpose driven life via doing the job that isn't very much purposeful.
So it gave you the means basically to live
Right.
a purpose-driven
Right.
life. It was a means to an end.
Okay. No, I like what you just said. It gave me a means to live my purpose-driven life. Yes. Yes. I
Right.
agree. Yeah.
So in the grand scheme of things,
Okay.
there was a destination.
Yeah, and that's something else
And
I
that's
wanted
the
to touch
difference.
upon. Some people might today not be living a purpose-driven life and doing a job that they hate, but you know, to Martin Luther King, he didn't wake up today, I have a dream, tomorrow we had equality. So it does take time, and depending on where you are in your journey of living a purpose-driven life. But I think it goes back to the point of, even if I'm doing something today that isn't very purposeful, I've got an end goal in mind that
And
I'm
it's
only
leading me to that.
Yeah,
Exactly that.
yeah,
And
exactly.
that's kind of what purpose is all about.
Sure.
If you think we're going to wake up tomorrow morning and be like, yeah, I'm full of purpose and that's it, I've achieved my dream, that is not how it works, right?
Okay.
You find your purpose and then you realize there is a mountain that you've got to climb to achieve it.
Yeah.
A really good way to look at that is to be working towards a bigger goal whilst living in the moment and
Yeah.
appreciating absolutely everything that you already have.
Yeah,
Right.
This is why we bang on about gratitude all the time, because
And
like
and I've heard it on one of
Oh.
your podcasts, and it's
the only one you've watched apparently.
It's not the only one I've watched. Do you know why? Because I'm watching this one.
I was going to say, when you say about that though, when you guys are talking about that, I think it's quite natural for everyone to feel, you know, once they have something they want, and it doesn't need to be as deep as goals and achievements. Like if you really want the PlayStation 5 until the PlayStation 5 comes out, you get it, you're happy for a day, and then you're like, cool. But then I think this is where you're like this is kind of like a test. You're trying to put out a test. This is where most people either flop or carry on. Because what happens is when you get that feeling, you might choose to think, oh, is that it? Damn, I wasn't worth it. That wasn't worth it, to be honest. What was the point of all the hard work? Let me just sit down, let me get comfortable. Or
you can just be grateful for it. Like, grateful for what you've learned in achieving what it is. Grateful that you now have the capacity for more. Because you've done this, you now know how to do more.
You've got the ability to do more and be more.
And that's why gratitude is key. We say this on almost every episode because...
Definitely. There's a couple of verses in the Bible that I really like.
We love sharing Bible verses.
We do.
A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden.
Okay.
Nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house.
For us three sitting here, being Coptic Christian, our first and foremost purpose in this life is to get to eternal life.
So, if you think of a building, right, and this is just easy for me to visualize because of the industry, the strength of your foundation determines how high you can go.
Of course, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The foundation of any Christian is God. Period.
Yeah.
And then you've got...
And your relationship with God.
And your relationship with God. And then you've got your substructure, so to speak, which is everything that you build throughout your life.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When you put your head down for the last time and you go and meet your Creator, what do you want to turn around and see? If we use St. Paul as an example,
go on,
right? Preach to the nations. Until today, people are reading the epistles and it's changing people's lives.
True.
Constantly.
Yeah.
King Solomon the same. David the psalmist the same. What has Kiz done? What has Anthony done? What has Paul done?
You know what? I love that you said that, because this is basically the purpose of this podcast. We want to impact people in a positive way. We want to bring, amazing guests on that can have this impact. We live in a day and age where if St. Paul can do it 2,000 years ago by word of mouth and horseback, you and I have no excuse today not to be preaching the gospel and not to be leaving an impact on every single person's lives that we meet.
So there's a saying that says one of the only gospels that some people will encounter or read is you.
Yeah.
And are we reflecting that day to day in the things that we do? And it comes down to the smallest of things. Like even in business meetings, in the corporate world, you just know, and I can't explain this. It's like a sixth sense of, that person is operating off the back of God.
Yeah. My favorite Bible verse is Matthew 6:33, and it says, "But seek first the kingdom of God, and all else will be granted unto you." And I read that years and years and years ago. I was in a very dark place. My friend told me to read the Bible. I didn't know how to read the Bible. I opened the Bible. That was the first one I read. I closed the Bible. I was like, okay, I'll take that for a minute. It took me a while to process everything, but it did change my life. But that's us as Christians. How can somebody watching that might not feel like they're living a purpose-driven life? I think this is a very important question, because a lot of people might think, am I living a purpose-driven life? I'm not. How do I get there? A lot of people get stuck.
Right, so for us as Christians, obviously we know our purpose. Our number one purpose is to inherit the kingdom of God. Our number one purpose is to live a righteous life. For everyone else who might not believe in God, how can they go about finding their purpose? Because a lot of people understand the concepts of what, how, and why, but they don't know how to even find their why.
Yeah. A lot of people are asking, what's my why? How do I know what my why is?
So there are some exercises, and
there are.
Yeah,
Sick.
But I will warn everyone who thinks they want to find their purpose.
Go on. This
is an extremely uncomfortable process.
Yeah.
It's a painful process.
But that's the mountain.
Right.
Do you want to climb the mountain or not? That falls down to everybody, but you give them what they need.
First thing to do is draw a line graph, right? X-axis, Y-axis, just very simple graph, yeah?
Okay.
And experiences on the X.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And 10 to -10 on the y-axis,
Sure.
right? 10 is being the most positive I felt, -10 being the most negative I felt,
Okay.
right? 10 experiences, plot them on the graph,
Sure.
and write down next to each plot what that experience was.
So when you say experiences, what are we talking about here? Got the career I wanted?
So, for example, graduation,
Okay.
right? If you're married, marriage is a big one, right? If graduation, marriage, career, birth of a child,
Yeah.
right? And then you've got the negative experiences. So loss of a loved one. It could be a parent. It could be a grandparent. It could be the loss of a child for some people in really dire circumstances. It could be the loss of a job. Someone who's had their dream job and then all of a sudden the business has needed to make changes and they've lost their job. They've become redundant, right? Being homeless is another big one, right? People losing the place that they live.
Once we've put these experiences, naturally the good ones are going to be right up there, and the bad ones, death, homelessness, any hardship, is going to be on the -10s.
On the -10s. So
Right.
you then pick the 3 most positive and the 3 most negative, because they're going to stagger throughout. It will be between 0 and 10 and 0 and -10 for the 5 of each, right? You pick the 3 strongest positives, the 3 strongest negatives, and then you start to write down a story for each one.
Okay.
Who was there?
Right.
What happened? Why did it happen? How did you feel at the time? And why did you feel that way? Once you've written those stories down, read them and walk away.
That's it.
Come back in 20 minutes, read them and walk away again. Do that 3 times.
For both the positive and the negative.
For the positives and the negatives. You will realize that throughout each of those stories, right, there is something inherently similar in every single one of them. For your positives, it's something that you have found that has driven you to get to that point.
Oh, I see.
Right?
Okay.
Because it's an emotion, right? And our brains aren't built to think with emotion.
Mm-hmm.
They're not. And this is why this process is so difficult, because you're trying to get your limbic brain to work, which is based on emotional responses, and then to articulate an emotional response is extremely difficult.
Okay.
And that's why the process is kind of as painful as it is. But once you've reflected on that, as we've said, draft a why statement, which is to something, so that something else.
I don't get it.
Give an example.
I'll give you an example. To create places people can call home so that individuals can achieve their full potential. So now that we've explained how you find your why, it's easy now for all of us to go away and do it.
Yeah, I mean, I can do a graph, boom, boom, X, Y, 5, 5. That's not...
And get uncomfortable for a period of time and draft a why statement. But the most successful people do this repetitively. Your why and your purpose will change over the course of your life. So
naturally, yeah.
Some of the people that I know personally have developed their why over a period of time. So the core
That's
is
very
the
important
same.
you said that, because some people think the purpose is just God-given and this is my purpose, but
Definitely
what Paul
not.
just said, some
And
people develop their purpose to go from that.
they develop their purpose over a period of time, over many years. So it's important that we do this exercise maybe once a year is a good way to start. And then try and do it every 6 months or after every major event. Do it, because that graph will change.
Yeah, I was going to say,
sure.
maybe depending on how you feel, sometimes if you... When you're motivated and you can see the high momentum, I don't think you need to do it, because you know, right? It's proven by actions. But those times, everyone has those crashes. That's a good time to reflect, do this exercise, and then you realise, oh, okay.
Definitely. And I think 2 things to remember is purpose doesn't find you. You find it through bursts of challenge and intensity.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. The second thing is people don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So in anything that you do, people aren't buying the final product.
Yeah,
That's not what.
just
right?
look at the like high luxury. People aren't spending £2,000 on a Versace shirt because it's like they're spending. Why? Because it's a Versace shirt, not because what the product
it looks
or
good
the,
or the
yeah,
quality,
or the
No,
quality
no,
or
no.
what it's made of. They're buying it. Why? So that everyone knows they're wearing a £2,000 Versace shirt.
Exactly that. And like another really good one is when you walk in. Let's say you walk into a Sainsbury's and there's a homeless person on the street. If you were on your own, would you buy that guy a meal deal and go outside and give it to him as an act of love, right? Would you do it? And don't answer this question, just think about it. If you had a girl with you on your first date and it's someone that you're like, yeah, I could marry this person, would you do that same thing?
Oh, I see. Okay.
Eventually, people will start noticing and seeing that that's not the person they are. Like, why are they doing this? They're doing this to impress. They're not doing this out of the goodness of their own heart.
Yeah.
And eventually, so this is how important purpose is. It's not what you do. It's not how you do it. It's why you do it. People don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it.
Do you think everybody has a predestined purpose that is written for them, and their job is to find that purpose, or do you believe that purpose you create it based on your life experiences, based on what you like and who you are as a person?
No, I think the answer is no. I don't believe, me personally, I don't believe we all have a purpose that has been instilled in us at birth, for example. I think not everybody is made to be a factory owner. If everybody had the purpose of becoming the 1%, we'd have no factory workers. I think some people are born to be factory workers, and I'm not dissing factory workers. I'm not dissing the workers. I'm not dissing. We need them. Society needs them. They are part of the fabric of society. Without them, the 1% wouldn't be 1% because they would have no one work for them. But they are happy being a factory. I've got friends that don't earn a lot of money. They're like 30 grand a year. They're more happy than some of the people I know that are on 250 grand a year.
Because they're living a content life. They're living a life of gratitude.
Gratitude, contentment, and they feel like their purpose simply is completely different. It's not nothing. It might be nothing to do with career. Their purpose is to look after one of my friends. His main purpose is to look after his children. And for him, he just goes to work just to come back home and fulfill his purpose of looking after his children.
Right,
So,
but wait, because this is a different question.
what?
Because my question is, I'm not saying is everybody's purpose to be great and to be
No, but you're saying does
build a
everybody have a
legacy.
purpose?
No, but I'm saying, are people born with a purpose? That
No.
purpose for some people could be.
No.
So
I think that there's NPCs. We have to have NPCs. Without NPCs, it wouldn't work.
But then that could be their purpose.
To be an NPC.
No, but to be someone who works at Tesco to fulfill to provide for his family.
So then his purpose is to provide for his family.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Is he an
No, because
NPC because
he
he was born an NPC, or is he an NPC
Yes,
because he was
is an NPC. You are an NPC because you were born to be an NPC, and the only way you can change that is by physically, proactively, dedicatedly changing that. I fully believe
So,
you
okay,
were
but
born
then-
to be an
so-
NPC
so-
because that person.
But if you're born
let
to
me
be
finish.
an
That
NPC,
person whose main purpose is to look after his family. What about when he didn't have a family? What
So-
about when he was
so
before
I
he had a family?
Completely disagree with everything
That's
you're
absolutely
saying.
fine. Go
good.
on.
This is the point of it, because I disagree as well.
So you go first.
No, I'm just saying, because what you just said there is very contradicting, because you're saying the only way you can change it, if it's something that's written for me and I'm born with this
So everyone's purpose is individual to them as a person, right?
Yeah.
And we're all inherently different. If we were all created the same, then there'd be no point in living, right?
Yeah.
Can we agree on that?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
Kiz's purpose isn't the same as Paul's. Anthony's purpose isn't the same as Paul's. And
Who said
Kiz's
Kiz has a
isn't the
purpose?
same as Anthony's.
Yeah, but kids might not have a purpose. Kids could just take every day as it comes. Some people are like that, Paul. You don't believe some people don't have a purpose?
No, I do.
Dave, so how can you disagree with me?
Because what I'm
No,
saying,
but
because what you're saying is
they
that
have a
some
purpose,
people
they're
are
just
born
not-
without a purpose. I believe some people are born without a purpose. They might not have a purpose. But you're saying you are born without a purpose. You will be without a purpose unless.
You find your purpose.
Okay, But then you'll say, if someone's born to have no purpose, they can't find it.
No. Listen, none of us.
No,
were born,
no one is born to not have purpose.
and none of us were born with a six pack.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
some of
that's
us go
different.
out there and get a six
No,
pack.
that's different.
Mate.
That's my original question. My question was Martin Luther King's purpose pre-written for him? Was this something that was always meant to happen and he found it, or is it something that he found along his path?
It's something that he found along his path, and I think that's the same for all of us as people. And this is why reflection is so important, because if you don't look back on events and things that have happened throughout your life and then try and A, have a positive impact, or B, try and ensure that other people don't suffer in the way that you've suffered or experience the negative things that you've experienced, then you're not bringing any value to the world at all as an individual. And everyone has a purpose and everyone brings something to the table. But finding it and finding how big your purpose or your impact is down to an individual, and it's down to choice, frankly. Like, it's as we said earlier, it's a journey that you experience over time, and you can choose to do it once and stop there, or you can choose to consistently do it and consistently grow your purpose, consistently grow your impact. And that's down to an individual, and it's a choice that you make.
And I think that's down to a lot. Okay, 'cause there is people out there who think that I don't know. You ask them, what do you want to be when you're older? Not as a child. When you're like 18, 19, and a lot of people are lost. They don't know. They don't feel like they have this purpose that they're striving to. They're just kind of taking life as it comes. But that all comes from just being like a sheep, just following what you're told and never actually going up, because you can't do what you want. Some people were super passionate about music, right? Super passionate about music. They love playing instruments. But then, all this stuff that's thrown, and these narratives that are pushed in studying and maths and science and uni and careers, and you have to get a good job and all of this, they throw all the stuff they genuinely enjoy out the window. And with purpose is passion. You tend to find your purpose when you're happy in the stuff that you do, right? How are you going to find a passion if you never do anything you enjoy? And if you never do anything you enjoy, of course you're never going to have a passion. Because people say, I'm not passionate about anything. But that's because you spend all your life doing things you don't enjoy doing, and you don't try other things because all the stuff that are pushed out to you.
But then I
Do you know what I'm saying?
think that's also based on living with a negative mindset. To say that you love absolutely everything you do, I think, is selling people a dream that you're never going to achieve.
I never said I love everything I do. I'm saying that lots of people don't do anything that they enjoy. Lots of people's life consists of absolutely nothing they genuinely enjoy. And the reason I say this is because I was one of those people. I really always wanted to be super successful all the time. That's just since I was a kid. I wanted to be above average, super successful, right? How I was taught in schools and stuff that you can achieve that is to study hard, get good grades, go to uni, get a good job. So naturally, that's what I started doing. I started studying hard, getting good grades, started applying to uni, all of this stuff. Then I realized halfway through, I was like, mate, do you know what? I started cutting hair just to make extra money. And then I realized, mate, I never thought you could be rich being a barber. I never thought you could be super successful being a barber. So that's not why I done it. But what I realized is I really enjoy cutting hair. I really don't enjoy studying. And then...
So maybe that's challenging the status quo. Because for us as Arabs, the status quo is go to uni, get a good degree, get a good job. Anthony challenged that. He thought, you know what, let me challenge the status quo.
But then there's my whole point of saying that is because when I started realizing, hold on, like, this feels weird. I'm doing something because, trust me, not a lot of people have that feeling. Not a lot of people, especially when you started making money from it. I was like, this is weird. Like, this is going back to where you said, why'd you wake up in the morning? I never ever before cutting hair went to sleep thinking about, I can't wait to wake up. But as my passion for cutting hair grew, I was like, I genuinely can't wait to live tomorrow. I can't wait. Started, this sounds a bit weird, but thinking about the haircuts I was going to do, how I'm going to do it, genuine passion, right? Then I realized, wow, life is really, really, really different when you actually enjoy what you're doing, right? So what I was saying earlier, it's not obviously it's not everything. I don't enjoy absolutely every single part of my life, but the point is I don't not enjoy everything in my life. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's about striking a balance and,
Yeah.
and finding, like, for example, some people are in very established careers, make really good salaries, they've got a very bright future ahead of them, but work is work, right? It's a job at the end of the day. They can connect to their purpose via other means. It doesn't have to be through work. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that I know whose purpose comes outside their 9 to 5, but they still connect to their purpose. It could be on weekends, it could be in the evenings, and it's about, I guess, doing everything that you do to the best of your ability. And I think that also is living a purpose-driven life, because there's a verse in the Bible that says, do all things as you would do them for the Lord. So if you're going to do it
properly.
or don't do it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And on that note, I think that brings this episode to an end. Just before we wrap up, could you please summarize the key takeaway points that you want everyone to know?
Yeah. Invest time in finding your purpose and trying to create a why statement. It is a painful process, but it's definitely worth it, I think, in my opinion. The second thing, the heart of man chooses his path and the Lord directs his steps. Know where you want to go, and then through gratitude, through thanksgiving, through trust, faith and hope, know that, where you're going, you will get there, but how you get there isn't for you to worry about. That's someone else's role. The third thing, don't shy away from your purpose. I think it's very easy for us as people to look at where we want to be and then go, yeah, I don't like that.
It's a bit of a challenge, that.
If you're scared or afraid, then I think you've probably found it, to be completely honest. And that's when you just run and just go for it. Absolutely. And I think, I'll stop at 3 rather than 5. I think that's enough.
Paul, well, that brings us to the very end of our episode. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you very much for
Really
having me.
appreciate you coming. We hope you guys have taken away some of the points that Paul has said. And we hope to see you on the next one. Ciao.